down to our very last honoree, and I'm still just amazed that all the Bettys came out. That is so awesome. So, as the Bettys and the Zontal representatives, Ricky is in the house. Thank you, Ricky. Thank you for being here to support Pete and Eric. So as the board deliberated, there were three things that stood out when we went through the nominations. One was longevity, the second is results, and the third is impact on others. And the KU Frisbee team, the Horrorzontals, and the Bettys had all three of those in spades. The KU Frisbee Club started in the mid to late 70s, quickly changed to the Horrorzontals and the Bettys. National championships, competitive in the Midwest and nationally, and just a lot of success. Fools Fest is the 13th longest running Frisbee event of any kind in the world, which is amazing. And the party, Saturday night barn party, is legendary. Thank you, Grady. The other thing that we did was we did some quick numbers, and we made a determination that well over 1,000 students have been impacted by the Frisbee clubs at KU. And the impact and that community and that family, I know that spirit runs deep within the Bettys and the Zontals. So with that, we've got two people that are going to speak on behalf of the Bettys and Zontals. First is Grady Boles. Please come up, Grady. And then Clare. Clare, do you want to come up as well?
Yeah, I'll go first. Grady said that I could, so what a gentleman. So I just feel like it's my duty as a representative of our sport to clarify what Ultimate is, because I know there's so many disc sports represented here. I just feel like I need to. So it's played on a football field, basically 2 end zones. You can't run with the Frisbee, so the only way you score in the end zone is by throwing it the distance and to your teammates. 7 on 7, and you can do one big long throw, or you can chunk up little yards at a time. There's a lot of lateral movement. It combines a lot of elements of many different sports, which is what makes it really special, among other things. So, as Rich said, we have Fools Fest, which is our alumni tournament, and we just had our 40th annual, about 3 weeks ago. And it was so humbling, almost overwhelming, to see how many people came back, how many people were there. It was people that played very first year, people that had never played at Fools Fest before because of the pandemic. We hadn't had one in 3 years. So it was a lot of people's firsts. And it was just so inspiring to see how these programs had touched so many individuals. Everybody had their own highlights. Everybody had their own stories, their own takes, their own favorites, their own, remember that, remember this? And you're just like nodding along, even if you weren't there, because there's a lot of overlap. There's generational overlap, there's teammate overlap, there's experience overlap. It's like, oh, remember how terrible the weather was at Syntex? Oh, I played in terrible weather in Syntex too. You're 30 years older than me. And it was just so awesome to see that. And it's kind of like you have the world Frisbee community, you have the national Frisbee community, you have maybe the state of Kansas Frisbee community, and then you have our university Frisbee community. And in a way, that smallest umbrella feels like the biggest one. It feels worldly. Because when you're out and about and you're traveling and you see a red jersey, or you see a red hat, or you see a Patagonia bag or cleats or something, you kind of just, your eyes are like a little bit extra peeled, and you're like, oh, I wonder, did they go to KU? Were they a Betty? Were they a Zontal? And that is what makes this honor so special, because we are the only inductee that is not an individual. It's a whole team. It's a whole program. And that is so deserved, because we could highlight a stud, we could highlight a super athlete or a superstar or a captain or an individual, because there's plenty of them. But these programs are so much bigger than any one individual. They're so much bigger than any of us can even comprehend, especially my little babies back there that are currents. It's so much bigger than any of us recognize, which is why it's so fitting to induct the whole program, both of the programs, because no individual would be who they are, where they are, achieve what they have achieved without these programs. And no matter if you played for one season, one semester, or you played for 5 years like me, it doesn't matter. Everybody left their mark. And the program left its mark on each individual. And that's why I want to thank Rich and the board of directors so much for just not focusing on an individual, because it really emulates and just expresses the power of the programs as a whole. And I'm just so honored and flattered to be up here, to have been a part of the program, to still be coaching the program, and to be a representative for the vast, amazing team that we are. So thank you all so much, and I couldn't be more proud.
That was absolutely on point. So lovely. You know, I had one of those fitful nights of sleep last night, knowing I needed to get up early and be at the bus stop taking me to the airport in Denver at the right time. There wasn't a follow-up flight, or I wouldn't have been here if I hadn't got there. So when the Lyft message came back, 13 minutes to your house, and I knew it was 8 minutes over to the bus stop, numbers weren't adding up. I became a nervous wreck. I was trying to let my wife sleep in. I went and got her out of bed. I said, I'm canceling the Lyft, you gotta take me. And all that fitful anxiety has proven so worthwhile, Rich. I had no idea. And yeah, there's more than 31 here. Well done. But back in the days of the beginning of the Horrorzontals and the Bettys, I couldn't have imagined that in 2022 I'd be standing here among you. I'm humbled, I'm honored, and this is truly a highlight in my lifetime, so thank you. Let me bring you back to 1979 in the KU Frisbee Club, which was advertising in the University of Daly, Kansas. Come out to the fields and play with us. Well, in 1978, here I was, a first-year freshman student in the dorm, learning the dorm life, how to party. I came from liberal Kansas. I needed lots of lessons. Well, just didn't have a time. And it's a good thing, because ultimate demands your party spirit be in top form. And by 79, and they ran that ad again, JC and I decided, hey, we were living in the dorm across the street from where they were meeting, behind the Oliver Field, so we gandered over there. And we found an organization that was sponsoring and sharing experience in all disciplines of flying disc. The throwing skills, maximum time aloft, throw, run, and catch, accuracy, distance, freestyle, guts, double disc court, disc golf, and even certification for the master's qualification from the International Frisbee Association. Any IFA members at one time? Yeah. And of course, well, when we weren't throwing the disc, what were we doing? Playing hacky sack. Whatever happened to hacky sack?
It's in my side door.
But indeed, Ultimate was part of it as well, and we gravitated to playing Ultimate more than anything else. And those members that I was able to remember myself, or pull some of the early Ultimate players of KU Frisbee Club, are truly my heroes. And those included Wayne Gall, David Draz, Linda Draz, Eric Frank, Bill Gordon, David Featherstone, Jeff Link, Stu Price, and Lou Thaxton. Like I said, these and any others that I may have omitted are truly my heroes, and I'm thankful. Playing Ultimate at KU in 1979, for me at least, meant learning a new game. And it demanded new skills throwing a disc that most of us were truly learning. There were few, if any, teams in the area that had a whole bunch of Ultimate experience. And that ranged from over at Manhattan down to Pittsburgh, Emporia included, Springfield, Columbia, St. Louis, OKC, Jam, up to Lincoln. Honestly, no one had 2-3 years under their belt. We were all in our first 50 games of Ultimate. It was an interesting experience. And it turns out discovering Ultimate has proven very, very good for me. It involved learning a unique non-ball sport after having personally grown up near the land of Friday Night Lights, where the mentality was if it didn't involve a ball, it probably wasn't a real sport. So this was quite a shift. And all those ball sports, they had referees. And sometimes that led to an attitude of playing the game with, what can I get away with? Well, I fell deeply in love with Ultimate in my first away tournament down in Springfield, UFO 2, Ultimate Frisbee Option. I was enamored with the name, UFO. And at the end of the day, the hosts of the tournament had brought, I think this was a day that we played 3 or 4 games in one day. Is that even possible? Wow. Well, the hosts had brought refreshments to the sidelines. Yeah, it was a keg. And there we were, chatting it up, quenching our thirst, reliving points and plays that we had just completed. Doing this with the team we had just competed against. This was new to me. Never seen anything like it, but I loved it. You know, this is where I found out truly what the spirit of the game was all about. Before the Horrorzontals, we played under a couple other names. We even needed to borrow some of the Topeka players and abbreviated Topeka and Lawrence to Top Law. Then Lawrence was able to field a team, but still pre-Horrorzontals, we were WAFGOG, W-A-F-G-O-G. We are a fun group of guys. We could humor the other team, perhaps they would take mercy on us. Well, Horrorzontals, the name, was a result of several hours of brainstorming with my then roommate, JC. I recall it took place in the apartment we were sharing on Louisiana Street in Lawrence, up the hill from the famous Joe's Donuts, or where it had been. I think that's sacred ground. I believe there ought to be one of those memorial plaques posted there. It was here. Well, we wanted the name, we had several variations, but we wanted the name to reflect the reality of our experience, which was that a whole bunch of our throws demanded that you lay out horizontally if you want a chance to catch it. That's right, many of our throws, not most, many, were horrible. Hence, horizontals. That happened on occasion. And thanks to Lou Thaxton, undeniably our most experienced player from those days, used his talents to come up with the iconic Z design. Lou had been a state champion tennis player in Maryland before coming to KU to study architecture. And then he went to England to study architecture for a year and wound up playing with the English national team, touring Europe. So upon his return, this was the guy that was not only responsible for the iconic artwork of the Horrorzontals, he was a team captain and was teaching us how to play this game. Thanks, Lou. But my recollection, this is before the offensive stack existed. We strived for flow. Flow was a euphemism for organized chaos that sometimes worked. but we were having fun. It was my senior year at the Horrorzontals that we decided we wanted to host an ultimate tournament in the spring of 1982. But finding a weekend that wasn't too close to finals, having the possibility of non-winter weather in Lawrence, and not conflicting with any other spring tournaments meant that we went with early April. Hence, the Ultimate Fools Festival was born. Apparently that's been abbreviated to Fools Fest now. That's fine. I was excited, since I'd been to a few Ultimate tournament parties, and I felt that Ultimate players were some of the best partiers that existed. And I'm looking at you. Yeah. Crazy. And those of you that were there, have heard about it, or are learning about it tonight with the reference that Rich made to the barn party, Ultimate Fools Festival 1 set the standard for Ultimate tournament parties in a barn with decorations, and of course a midnight shredded newspaper drop from the ceiling, and a live bluegrass band, 9 kegs of beer, and the infamous stairs that got wet up to the hayloft and somewhat slippery. I think they got drunk. But that might have been part of the reason that I'm standing here today and that the Ultimate Fools Festival has lasted so many years. I've said that discovering Ultimate has been very, very good for me because it was a member of the Horrorzontals that reached out to me in the summer of 1984, following my second year at law school, and told me I should meet them in Boulder for the 4th of July tournament. This tournament had teams from across the country, both coasts. I was witnessing the top caliber Ultimate. I am so glad I went. I couldn't go in '85, I was sitting for the bar exam. And then I moved back out to Liberal to be an apprentice with my father, financial planning. Liberal felt quite small after my years in Lawrence and Topeka. So, it was wonderful to visit Boulder for the 4th of July tournament, as it was a perfect way for me to let loose for a couple of days and then go back to being quiet and liberal. And on Labor Day weekend, well, I stayed there in Liberal, and after having visited 3 or 4 times to Boulder, where I had an epiphany that Boulder is where I'm moving to, as soon as I learned enough from my dad. And I managed to do that Labor Day weekend in 1993. And in the following spring of '94, I began playing with the Community Co-Ed Ultimate League. I instantly went from knowing 2 people socially, both which were from my Kansas Ultimate playing days, to knowing 40 and 50 people, and that number continued to grow. I was having so much fun that I played the spring, summer, and fall leagues for around 10 years. Now I play in a Wednesday night pickup game that's in a park about a mile from my home. And on 2 occasions I came back and said to my wife, "These people are so much fun and so laid back, I love them." So that's where I'm at, and I live near a disc golf course, and I'm playing a bit more disc golf these days. I'm honored to be in a room with the level of play that you represent. Well, Anne-Marie, the woman that would become my wife, and the mother of our wonderful 16-year-old son, Camden, wound up moving into the apartment across the hall from mine. I moved to Boulder because of Ultimate. I met my wife because of Ultimate. Ultimate has been very, very good to me. And what a joy to be in here with the women's team, the Bettys, who have won infinitely more national championships than the Horrorzontals. I'm so proud of you. I know you bring game. You don't even wait for Fools Fest to dress in fashion in the pool. I love you all. Well done. Thank you, Rich. Fabulous event. Thank you.